Hello, everybody. We're going to be studying today the nervous system. Okay, this is chapter 12. Okay, so the nervous system contains the CNS, which stands for central nervous system. Okay, and the PNS, peripheral nervous system, which is away from the middle. Okay, of course, the nervous system plays a very important role in homeostasis, communicating with different organs and cells, so the body can go back to homeostasis. Here are some functions that we're going to go over later on. Sensory input. You can see the nervous system helps us with touch, temperature, taste, smell, sound, blood pressure, and position. Integrating, it processes the stimuli in the brain, of course, and then produce a response by sending the response down the spinal cord and into wherever it needs to go. Homeostasis, it makes changes. Mental activities, consciousness, memory, and thinking, that's part of the brain, which is in the central nervous system, part of the central nervous system. And it helps contraction of muscle and glands whenever it needs to respond to something. Okay, so cells. Two types of cells in the nervous system. Let me see if the other one is here. Okay, so one of them is neuron cells. Neurons are for communications, and there is something called the glial cells. Glial, it provides a framework for them. Okay, let's dive into part of the nervous system. I think we saw this in chapter 2 when we did a very basic nervous system study. So here is the cell body. Okay, cell body is called, right there, is also called a soma. Okay, S-O-M-A, soma. And it has a process. The process, okay, which is the axon. So this part of the cell body is called the dendrites. Okay, it receives information from other neurons. So here are going to be attached to other axons. Okay, so other axons will come in, send the signal down to this. Okay, into the cell body, and then here it goes down the axon to another dendrite if it needs to connect to another place. And we're going to study these segments in detail in lab as well. I think at the end, later on in the chapter as well. Okay, what these are. So, the brain and the nervous system is got two types of matter. Okay, gray matter and white matter. Okay, gray matter, it just have lots of cell bodies. Okay, and they're dendrites. White matter, it's got all of the axons. Okay, the reason it looks white, so here would be the white matter, and here would be the gray matter. Now the reason it looks white, because the axon, okay, is wrapped in something called a myelin sheath. Okay, and it's an insulating sheath, and it's fatty tissue, so it looks more white. Okay, here is where people get a little bit confused. Okay, so in the CNS, in the nervous system, central nervous system, all the gray matter is called a nuclei. Okay, nuclei. or nucleus. But the same thing, the same gray matter in the peripheral nervous system will be called a ganglion. So make yourself a chart. Just try to remember these because it's going to be on the test. Okay. White matter, again, white matter are the axons, myelinated. It's got that covering. Okay. Myelinated axons. In the central nervous system, it's called tracts. And in the peripheral nervous system, they're just simply called nerves. Okay. Functional division, basic function, we saw some of these. Okay. We're going to study somatic and automatic nervous system in the later chapter. Okay. Somatic, like we saw up here in the dendrite. Okay. Another word for the cell body is called soma. So soma stands for body. Okay. So if you remember soma, it's your body voluntarily moving. Okay. They're conscious and chosen. Okay. If you want to move, that comes from your voluntary somatic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system, of course, is automatic. You don't even think about it, like your breathing, like your heartbeat, okay, digestion, all that stuff is automatic. It's unconscious, okay. Another one is your enteric nervous system. Is part of the PNS, is affected by the CNS, and is independent in directing response. Okay, for example, enteric is for your intestinal and all that stuff. Okay, responsible for smooth muscles and glandular tissue. Okay, but we're mainly going to be focusing on somatic and autonomic. Okay. So again, where's my mouse? Here, your brain and the spinal cord. Okay, these are your central nervous system. Then here, coming out of here, will be out of your central nervous system. Okay, when we studied the anatomy of the spine bones, once it exits the whole of the foramen, okay, the intervertebral foramen, once it comes out of the hole, it becomes part of the PNS. And now it's a ganglia. Okay? And out here, the PNS will be the nerves. Okay? Here's that enteric nervous system we just talked about. So let's study the nerve cell a little bit more detail. Okay. Already mentioned neuron and neuroglia. Okay, the neuron needs to have a shape. The cell body is the soma. Okay, has a lot of mitochondria and rough endoplasmic reticulum. Cell processes are key. Dendrites bring the electrical changes to the cell body, and axon takes it away. So again, remember, it comes in like here would be another axon coming in. Okay, connected to the cell body. This part right here, this part is called the axon hillock. Axonal hillock or axon hillock. It's transitional, known as initial segment right here, because it's going to transition from the cell body to the axon. Okay. The myelin is made from glial cell. which acts like an insulation around a wire. Okay, it's got gaps in between. Okay, right there. So what happened is when the nerve cell comes in, okay, it actually jumps. Okay, it jumps. So that's why nerve responses are so fast. Okay, so all these layers you see are called a myelin sheath. Okay, myelin. Okay. So the types of neurons, there are different types depending on their structure. Okay, 3 of them: multipolar, bipolar, and unipolar. So multi means many, right? Bipolar means 2, and uni means 1. Okay, multipolar are your motor neurons. Okay, it's most neuron in the CNS. Most of them are multipolar, and it's very common. Okay, bipolar is more rare. It's found in the olfactory, which is your sense of smell, and retina in your eye. Okay, unipolar is actually a pseudo unipolar, so it's really not just one. Okay, because it's split. Okay, it's a sensory neuron. A dendrite can receive from simultaneous stimuli directly. Cell body are always in the ganglia. We're gonna see some pictures. Oh, not here. We'll see some more pictures later in the lab of what they look like. So glial cell. Remember I talked about there are 2 types of cells in the nervous system. One of them is neuron, and the other one is the glial cell. Okay, the glial cell is the holds everything together, the structural, provide a framework. Okay. There are 4 types in the central nervous system and 2 types in the peripheral nervous system. Okay, let's see if it's here. Yeah, that's 2, 3, 4. Okay, please remember them. It is in the test. Okay, the names of them. So 4 types in the central nervous system. First type is astrocyte. Majority of them, it is the reason they're called astrocytes because they look like star shape. Okay, form part of the blood-brain barrier. Okay, and its basic function is for support. Epididymal cells. Okay, it looks like this. Okay, what it does is it will produce cerebral spinal fluid. So it makes the spinal fluid is cushioned. You have it in your brain and your spinal cord. It creates a CSF. Okay, cerebral spinal fluids. Next one is microglial cells. Helps remove bacteria. Okay, so it's like a macrophage kind of thing.